Well, here we are. Welcome to week 2 of Art202. I'm really excited to take a look at your week 1 work, which Mondays and Tuesdays are typically my grading days. I do my very best to have all your week's work done by Friday, but be looking throughout the week, be checking in on Blackboard, checking for those grades, make sure you're looking at feedback on some of the more major assignments. And asking me any questions if you have them, etc. But I will be getting to your grades in the next couple of days. And let's go ahead and dive into what we got going on. So week 2, we're calling it describing the visual world. So we're going to go over elements of design, all that good stuff, kind of starting to build up your vocabulary. So you have your reading, which is just chapter 3, style and the formal elements in your you're looking at art text. And then you have your lecture, so there's the PDF here, and you can watch the lecture video here. There's a lot of vocabulary this week. This is probably, I think weeks 2 and 3 have the most vocabulary. All of this is what we go over in the lecture slides. So these are just terms I want you to be aware of that may show up on your quiz and just will help you build up that vocabulary for when you start to do formal analysis. It's going to really help you describe a work of art. So these are kind of those basic key terms that we want to look for. Also, if you click this link, this is what will take you to your quiz. So again, you have one attempt to do the quiz, but you have as long as you need. You can use your lecture slides, you can use your book. So make sure I would watch your lecture, do your reading beforehand, but you have as much time as you need on those quizzes. So make sure you get that quiz done. Artist of the week this week is Caravaggio. So his name is Michelangelo di Caravaggio, not to be confused with the Michelangelo. So really interesting character. The documentary is a little bit, paints him as this very dramatic guy, which he was, got in a lot of trouble, but also created some incredibly beautiful, compelling works of primarily religious art. The way he was able to depict biblical scenes of Christ, even scenes like David and Goliath are just beautiful. And there's a term that we learn in our vocabulary called chiaroscuro, which is basically the shapes and the figures kind of emerging from this really dark, murky background. So it's very starkly contrasted. Highlights and shadows, almost stage-like presentation. If you imagine a theatrical set and really dramatic lighting, that's something that Caravaggio was really good at. He was really good at stirring an emotional response in us, and a little bit dark. So excellent documentary. You do have Q&A for it this week. So you have just 3 quick questions. So I want you to look at what, Caravaggio is best known, again, for his use of chiaroscuro. So I want you to define this term first, and then briefly describe how this artist specifically uses it so successfully. I want you to list and describe 3 other elements of design you notice Caravaggio uses to create drama in his artwork. So this is where this list of vocabulary is going to come in a lot of use. And number 3, do you think Caravaggio was a mad genius, or was he simply mad? How does the theme of forgiveness also play into his story? So again, these are 2 to 3 sentences for each one. You don't need to include an attachment. You can just click on this here, and I won't do this every week, I promise, but just to make sure you guys all kind of get how to do it, hit write submission, and then just answer your questions right there, just like that. So nothing fancy. Just keep this really simple. These are just little 10-point assignments anyway. So make sure that you take a look at that. You have your reflection this week, which is all about visual elements. And so I want you to look at this painting by Artemisia Gentileschi. It's called Judas Slain Holofernes, and I want you to answer the following questions in paragraph form. So this is a discussion board, so that's how it will be done. So I do expect you to interact with your peers. So I want you to explore the work of explore the work of Caravaggio, who is this week's artist of the week, and he painted a scene of Judas Slain Holofernes as well. And so we're going to kind of be comparing and contrasting the two. So what similarities can you see here in the work of Gentileschi as to Caravaggio's? I want you to list, and describe a minimum of 3 visual elements that you learned in lecture. And then you can read about this work by clicking here. And it's going to take you to the Art Institute of Chicago's page, and it gives you, a little information, a little bit of backstory about Gentileschi, all that good stuff. So take a look at that, and how I want you to look at how Gentileschi uses visual elements to help tell the story of Judith and Holofernes, and then make sure you comment on at least 2 peers' posts. So do you agree? Do you disagree with their analysis? Last session, we got really good discussions out of these questions. So, engage with your peers. We try to build community as much as we can here online. So take a look at those. Remember, done in discussion boards. So again, you don't have to do a file attachment for this. So just go ahead and hit the discussion, hit create thread, and it will give you the instructions here again as well. So it'll have the whole description instructions, and you can type yourself a title, and then you can do your blog post, or I'm sorry, your discussion board post. Don't even worry about this. You don't need it, because that way if people click on your thread, they can just read it right there. They don't have to download a file, because we want it to be as easy and accessible as possible. And then you'll just hit submit and you are good to go with that. So that's how we use discussion boards, if you didn't know how to use them already. I know that sometimes I have students who are new to the online format. And then we have our first project. So a little bit of a heavy week. We're kind of building up that vocabulary. This is probably one of the heaviest weeks that you're going to have. So this is a PowerPoint presentation that you're going to do. You can also export your PowerPoint presentation as a PDF file. Sometimes those PowerPoints get quite large if you're using really large image files. But what you're going to do is select 5 works of art using these resources that I've given you below, one of each of the following mediums. So mediums is the type of materials and tools that an artist is using. So you're going to pick a drawing, a painting, a photograph, a sculpture, and some kind of work of graphic arts, graffiti, symbolic art, okay? So be sure to cite each image appropriately. So each image should have right underneath it as a caption the artist's name, the title of the work in italics, the date it was created, the medium it's done in, and so is it oil on canvas, is it steel construction or bronze, is it charcoal, whatever it might be. So the medium, and then the source. So the source in the context of this class is the full web address where your image was found. So if you found it at the Museum of Modern Art's website, you won't just put moma.org. It should be that full URL for where that image specifically is. So I should be able to, copy and paste your source into my web browser, and it will take me right to the image, okay? So these are some good resources for you to use that I prefer you use for this assignment, just because we're getting used to citing images, and sometimes there's a lot of sources out there that are just no good. The only one where you may not be able to find all the citation information is when you do this one, the graphic arts graffiti category, because a lot of time graffiti artists, if you're using street art, they may not sign and date their work. A lot of times it's anonymous, so just do the best you can. Just put unknown, title unknown, date unknown, whatever it might be, where you can't find that stuff. Okay, so you're going to select those 5 images, give them each a citation, and then for those images, I'd like 2 of them to be either a Christian artist or contain Christian themes. So you might be able to find those at SIVA, which is Christians in the Visual Arts. Their website will have that. But also, if you're looking at a little more traditional art forms from a lot of these sources, you'll be able to find artwork that has Christian themes quite easily. And so what you're going to do with these is, in list format, make 7 observations for each image that exemplify various principles and elements of design. So again, we're putting this lecture material to use. So we're kind of practicing analysis for next week when we're going to actually write out a formal analysis. So I'm looking for 7 observations. These can be, vocabulary terms, genres they might be, so from your textbook that we've looked at, art movements it might belong to, so maybe it's surrealist, it's a surrealist piece, or it's neoclassical. You might need to kind of, as you find these images, read the information that comes along with them. So make your identifications concise and in list format, but I expect, a little bit of a description that comes with them. So be sure you consider not just what, but how and why the element is used. So instead of just writing, let's see, for example, let's think of a good one here. Modeling, that or 1 point linear perspective. Instead of just listing foreshortening, you might write foreshortening and then a colon and say, where and how the foreshortening is used. Just, use your judgment of when a little bit of description is needed to kind of help your reader, understand what exactly it is that you are describing. So again, I'm really big on how and why. Those are the two ideas that I always want you to be considering. So again, this can either be a PowerPoint file or you can export it to a PDF file as well. And so, use your own creativity for how you want it to look. You can, keep it very simple. You can have it kind of designed with, cool textures or formats or, templates, whatever you want to do there. That's all kind of, you have carte blanche there. But if you have any questions about this assignment or any of the other assignments for this week, please let me know. So again, deconstructions project, reflection, which is a discussion board, your quick artist of the week questions, and your quiz. That's what you have due this week, all due Sunday night by midnight. Again, looking forward to looking at your week 1 work. Any questions, any comments, any concerns, please let me know, and have a wonderful week, everyone.